this crazy story about how you got to where you are and how you you got your BlackBerry, learned about trading. I don't want to give too much away. Please go back in time and explain things.
Well, I graduated from college. Psychology was my major, and can't really do much for that major unless you go on ahead, but I'd had enough of school. So I was just traveling around, kind of just wandering.
Yeah.
And I'd freestyle rap for cash on the streets. That's how I would make money. And I was living on couches.
Uh-huh.
Needless to say, my dad wasn't particularly stoked. I was doing this for quite some time, roughly 12 years. And my dad and I, our relationship we weren't very close. You could say it was a little strained. And my birthday was coming up, and I was staying with a friend of mine out in Venice, California. And he goes, "Yo, there's a package for you." And I was, "What? A package? Someone sent me something on my birthday?" And I'm not used to that. I'm all over the place. People don't even know where I'll be. And it was for my dad.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe my dad had sent me something. Anything, really. Could have been a rock. I would have been surprised. And I opened it up, and it was a Z10 BlackBerry. I had a flip phone, a garbage flip phone that, didn't really do much. And I go, "Holy shit, I got a real phone."
Yeah.
And I laugh, I go, "BlackBerry. Of course my old man will give me a BlackBerry, Of course, it's finance minded, I gotta have a BlackBerry. And you know what? I started using it, and I really, really dug it. And I was like, this is a really, really cool phone, actually. I was really surprised. And in there, he put a little note. And he said, "I remember when you were a young man, you really used to be into the stock market." And there was an app he had downloaded about trading stocks and options, calls, put spreads, vertical spreads, buying on margin, all this stuff about, even there was articles I found about Bitcoin. I started, because now I had a smartphone, I could watch CNBC, follow the market, track what was going on. I had quite a bit of free time, and I had saved up about $5,000 I had that I saved up over all summer long, freestyle rapping on the streets of New York City. And I said, okay, I got a goal. I'm going to turn this 5,000 into 50,000. And so my birthday was April 17th. And
Wait. So you make $5,000 freestyle rapping.
I usually will get at least $5 per rhyme, sometimes more, and people would just give me topics and subjects, and I would just, off the cuff, rap about it. And I would try to pick up on what they were into.
Can I give you a topic and a subject?
Yeah. The more topics and the subjects, the better.
Okay. Manhattan, the Financial Mind, Suits, BBM, good hair.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
BBM, just say when. No need for a pen. Let me see if I can make this a little bit more zen. With a short haircut to match, now I'm going to hit the scratch. I'm going to see if I can find that gold mine patch. As I look for the financials, the trends, as I allow myself not to pretend to know, but to allow myself to constantly grow. So I sow the seeds indeed, and I find myself caught up in American greed. But still there's a different seed. It's what you do with the money. And it's not about merely banging Playboy bunnies, though that's a nice distraction. What's the main attraction in the Mad Hatton? So I'll be like old school, like General Patton. Now I'm storming at the gates like a barbarian. But if I can find myself with the art of war, so I can find myself not falling off balance like a seesaw, quick to the draw like McGraw, so I can bring it back to this place to find myself existing in a state of grace, to not matter if I win or lose, because it's all about the way you play, and never allow yourself to be misused, abused, or confused.
Yeah.
So, something along those lines.
Alright.
As quick as I can go. I probably got most of what you asked.
Yeah, so you made $5,000 and you're like, how can I turn this into $50,000?
Exactly. So how can I do it? Well, I didn't really think about but once I saw this, I was like, I'm going to learn how to do this. And I learned how to invest. And I did it. It took me about 8 months. And, I was aggressive. I had a few lucky breaks. There's no doubt about it. But I did it. And the holidays were coming up. And I hadn't been home in years for the holidays. I never go home. That's the most awkward time. Because I have other people coming over asking me what I'm doing with my life. And I walk up to the house. And I snap a photo. And I send it to my dad. And door just busts open. And he's looking at me. And I look right at him. And I've been reading all this Warren Buffett and George Soros and John Paulson. But Warren Buffett had this quote. And I go, Dad, derivatives are financial weapons of mass destruction. And with this day of inflation, you can't just depend on a regular investment strategy. You got to be a little more aggressive in these times. You got to play the calls, the puts, the spreads. You got to look into all these other things, not just, sitting with your money on the sidelines. And my dad was dumbfounded. Like all of a sudden I spoke perfect French. And I looked at him and I honestly thought I saw tears forming in his eyes. I'd never seen that, ever. I'd never seen my dad almost cry. He's a real firm, conservative dude. And he looks at me and he goes, you had me at derivatives, son. You had me at derivatives. He gave me the longest hug that he has ever given me in my entire life. And at that moment, when I didn't think it could get any better, or I'm sure he didn't, I went into my pocket and I took out the Porsche design BlackBerry P9982 and I handed it to him. And I feel for so long my dad had been trying to reach me in the way that he knew how, trying to get me to understand things that I just didn't care for. And it wasn't my time to hear him or listen. But in that moment he understood that everything he had said to me had registered in some way. And it was my way to show him that I cared. He didn't need me to buy them that phone. He could have done that himself. But what it represented was that I listened to him. And now I actually have my own place and I have people couch surfing in my place all the time. So it came full circle.
That's phenomenal, man. Wow. Wow. And so you're pursuing a career in finance?
I wouldn't say it's a career. It's just something I like to do. And it's paying the bills for now. In addition, I still freestyle rap, though. I'm not going to quit.
I mean, why would you?
Exactly. You just bet the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
A little freestyle rapping, a little financial investing.
Yeah. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Wait, I like balance.